Child, 2022 was a year, okay? When I say a year, really what I'm saying is that it was really like 3 years. I feel like 2022 was like 2020 extended times two. Like I think that was like a meme at the top of the year, like a whole thing, 2022, like also because it was, okay? 2022 was a year for the books in the way that I like it, but we made it through. So I'm gonna be sharing with you guys today 10 things that I learned in 2022 that I'm taking with me in 2023, because we're not about to take these, listen, no L's, all lessons, all lessons. I want everyone to know that he gave me life, so everything I have is his. Now it's Jesus over everything. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I am Robyn, and I make faith lifestyle content here on this channel. So if you into that, girl, come on, subscribe, join the community. But anyway, let's jump into these lessons, because girl, I need you to learn from my testimony, not from my experience, okay? I don't need you to walk through this. I probably said that wrong. I need you to learn from my testimony. You don't have to go through these experiences to learn from these lessons, and that's the hope of this video. So let's jump into it, girl. I promise I'm gonna look like a whole different person every clip, because I keep trying to adjust this ponytail. But anyway, I have my phone because that's where I'll be looking to tell you about these lessons. I just also want to preface everything here by just saying these are my lessons, right? But I want you to even look back at your 2022 or your 2021 and look at those hard things that you went through and find a lesson in it. So like I said, we don't have to take these L's. We'll just use them as lessons to propel us into the future. And I don't mean to preach real quick. No, I'm just kidding. But year after year, I feel like I would go through things and it would just take me out and I get so discouraged. Instead of looking at those things as lessons, I would fall into the same traps and same situations being replayed in different ways because I did not learn my lesson. And we know, like the black mamas be saying, but that's probably like all mamas anyway. They love to tell us like, see, if you would have listened, you wouldn't have gone through that. Or I told you the stove was hot. Those type of things. I don't want you to have to go through some of these things that I encountered because I didn't know any better. I'm telling you, so now you know better. But anyway, the preach is over. But the first thing that I learned in 2022 is that your desires can be good, but you can want them for the wrong reason. And this is one of those things, I love that this is the first one, because just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, we can go through things year after year after year after year and look at it from one perspective and think, oh, my life sucks, or whatever the case is, but not looking at the lesson in it. This is one of those lessons I had to repeat year after year. It was giving repeating 7th grade 5 times. And I don't want to do that no more. So I'm glad that I learned that not to just mix every desire that I have, but like putting all my desires before the Lord and asking him to give back to me the ones that he has set for me. And along with that, to ask him to give me the proper heart posture, so that I'm not wanting money to flex, so that I'm not wanting money so that I don't have to go through the same things that I went through when I was younger. Really, the worst thing you could do is ask God or long for something that is good in nature, but wanting it for the wrong reason. You could have exactly what it is that you want because God wants it for you, but if you don't change your heart posture, you're going to delay the blessing that was really meant for you. The second thing that I learned in 2022 is that childhood trauma has more of an effect on you than you usually realize. And listen, this right here, for me feels like the number one reason why 2022 was giving very much ghetto. I think what it was like, okay, 2022, I prioritized healing. If you saw my reset video, then you heard me talk about this already, but if you haven't, it's up here in the cards. Nonetheless, in 2022, I prioritized healing, and mainly through therapy. It just really helped me to confront a lot of things and really dig deep as to why certain behaviors, certain challenges I was facing, certain relationship issues I was having, friendship, family, all those types of relationships. Over the years, since 2020, actually 2019, 2020, and 2021, God was exposing different layers of me to me. And in 2022, I finally gave in and allowed him to do his thing. And he took me through the journey of therapy. And I just realized how many things I personally, but it's really a we, how many things I personally do now at this age, at my big age, as a result of the things that I've been through as a child. And while there are good things that we learn in our childhood, everyone has trauma in some sense, because as children, we expected our parents to be perfect, and they're just humans. So we have different degrees of trauma and all those things or whatever. I'm not a therapist, but I really realized how my life was littered with coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms, things that I picked up as a way to cope as a child that I was now utilizing in my adult life that were not serving me anymore. And I just really learned that, and I'm taking that with me in the future to kind of like look at why I do certain things, why I respond a certain way, how is this related to my past, so that I'm not out here being a child in a grown adult body, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not ruining my relationships, self-sabotaging, things like that we pick up as children, and we take that into adulthood. Imagine a 7-year-old having to take on the responsibility of a 25-year-old. That's what happens when we let our childhood trauma dictate our lives as adults. So learn this lesson now, sis. I promise you, it's good. Don't let your childhood trauma affect you in ways that you don't realize. Pinpoint it, recognize it, and then begin to act and seek therapy if that is something that you struggle with. Number 3 on the list of things that I learned in 2022 is we don't need everything that we think we need. And I promise you, a year ago, if anybody told me this, it was giving eye roll. It was giving, yeah, you had a perfect life. I didn't. But here I am to tell you the same thing that I'm sure somebody told me and I ignored them. But we don't need everything that we think that we need. And that was evidenced by, again, 2022 being very much ghetto. But I stepped into entrepreneurship in 2022, and what I mean, I felt like it was very much lack. I felt like I didn't have enough resources. I felt like I didn't have enough time. I felt like I didn't have enough anything, enough skill, enough opportunity. It was giving empty-handed. So I thought like, how am I gonna do this thing? God, you've called me to this thing. You called me to walk these things out. And I feel like I don't have what it takes. And when I looked up at the end of the year and saw like, not only am I still alive, come on, Jesus, that's my little shout, but not only am I still alive, but in practicality, I did not miss meals. I did not miss things that I thought I was going to miss. I was able to walk out the business, the things I needed to in my business. I was able to walk in everything God had called me to. And anything that I did not walk in was not because I didn't have what I needed. I was able to use what I had to make it work. When I remember the last time I was able to shop for makeup, and beat face all the time. You know what I'm saying? I was able to find a way. And I think that that's a strategy. This is just a thought in the moment. I think that's a strategy that God uses sometimes. He allows us to feel like we don't have enough so that we can see what we have in our hands and find a way to make it work. And at first I felt like, God, that's lack. Like, why would you let me walk in lack? But really it's resourcefulness, teaching resourcefulness, which is actually a strategy that we need as Christians and as business owners, if that's you. So God really taught me that last year in 2022, that we don't really need everything that we think that we need. Yeah, it'll be good to have those things, but those things are the extras. Those things are what can propel us to the next level, but they're not necessary for our obedience. So learn that too, girl. Okay, so number 4 on the list is it's okay to always be evolving. It doesn't mean that you're fake. It just means that you're getting to know yourself better. And I don't know, this might not be for everybody, but it was definitely for me. And I know it's for somebody out there, but I think sometimes we can become so beholden to a certain aesthetic of life, that we've picked up or that we admire and we live in it, or we behold so tight to a certain characteristic or mindset that even when we research and grow past that place, we still try so hard to live by it just because we don't want to go back and either feel dumb or look fake in my case. And I think this is coupled when you think about childhood trauma or your past. A lot of the things that we pick up through our life, a lot of them are coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms, ways to survive in certain seasons. And they're good in the moment, but they just don't serve you in the future. One example I could give you, right, is I'm from Brooklyn. You probably could tell by my accent or whatever. But, we you know, we have a certain accent. New Yorkers have an accent, especially if you're from Brooklyn, we have a certain accent. People from Queens have a certain accent, all the things, right? And I realized growing up, I picked up, I used to over enunciate my words. I started over enunciating my words because I speak really fast. So sometimes I trip over my words, somebody can't understand me, or I get like annoyed because I'm tripping over my words and I can't get out what it is that I'm trying to say. So I started to over enunciate my words so that whatever I said would come out clearly. And I kind of took that on as like a persona, like an over enunciating my words, like I speak proper, because also that's another negative connotation of, you know, speaking with certain accents. It's like a sign that like you're from the hood and people look at you a certain way. So I would over enunciate my words, and something that started out as a good thing, I wanted to speak better and have people understand me better, I now took on as a persona, or a characteristic trait. And as I got older, I just found like in certain circles, I would like, or certain situations, circumstances, I would like lean on that over enunciation and not go back to like my hood girl. And I feel like there's a place for the hoodness, you know what I mean? But there's also a place for enunciation. And the key is being able to like not having to lean on each one, making sure I'm staying on the subject. The point being here is that as I am in a certain season and I'm becoming more comfortable in who I am, I no longer feel like I have to over enunciate my words to like seem a certain way. And to be honest, I was like a little nervous about like, you know, I would be super cautious of my words because I didn't want to sound like I was like, oh, didn't you first start talking to us with very proper words and now you like, yeah, whatever. Like, I didn't want to come off a certain way. But as I'm becoming more free and becoming more mature, I'm realizing it's okay to abandon that. Like, it's okay for me to embrace my culture. It's okay for me to embrace my accents and things like that. If that's just who I am, you know what I mean? So that's just an example, but and how one of the ways it showed up for me. But it's okay to change and evolve. We're literally supposed to be evolving, literally supposed to be changing. Old mindsets are supposed to be gone away. The Bible even says it, you know what I mean? The old man is gone and the new man is here. So it's okay to continue to grow and learn new patterns and abandon old ways of thinking that don't serve you to this day. Of course, if it's, as long as it's not going against God's word and God's standard, but other than that, like, you should be able to do that. So that's something that I learned in 2022. Okay, number 5. I'm gonna try to go through these things a little quicker because I think I'm getting in my the video is starting to get longer than I wanted it to be. But number 5 is sometimes I am the problem. That's very hard for me to say. Not because I think I'm so perfect or anything like that. It's also connected to childhood trauma. You know, feeling like I had to be perfect if I wanted love and feel like I'm enough. Whole nother thing, therapy session. But anyway, sometimes I am the problem. Sometimes I was the problem. Sometimes you are the problem. And that is okay. The reason why it's okay is when you acknowledge it, then you know how to move in accordance to it, in accordance to the knowledge that you have. When you don't recognize that you're the problem, you keep showing up toxic. You keep showing up and being the problem and blaming everybody, losing people in your life, cutting people off, when sometimes you're the problem. Sometimes we are looking back at old relationships, whether it's romantic or friendships, familial relationships, old situations that we've been through. And when we're encountering new people, new situations, we're looking at them through the lens of what was old. And as a result of that, we show up as the problem. So I learned in 2022 to recognize, to take inventory of where I am. Again, like taking inventory of like, how am I showing up in this situation? Like, why is this affecting me? Shows me where I'm the problem and where the other person is the problem. We can't control what nobody else does. Can't control what anybody else does, but we can control the things that we do. So it's so important to know when you are the problem. Okay, girls, so I done told y'all all my business. Real quick, before you head out, don't forget to check out part 2 of this video. As I mentioned earlier, the video is getting way too long, so I just split the video in half, made a part 2. And I left the link in the description box down below, up there in the cards, and right here on your screen. Okay, girl, I'll see you over there. About the lessons that I've learned in 2022. So if you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up. go ahead and share this with somebody that can learn from any one of these lessons. Share it so that it can be in circulation. And let me know in the comment section down below, what was one thing that you learned in 2022 that you are taking with you into 2023? So glad you watched this video, and I can't wait to see you on my next one. Bye.